Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, a.k.a. PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. This is the podcast where digital discussion of the worlds of pop culture, sports, social media, and hockey. We enjoy interviewing hockey players on Popternative, and we're gonna snap our fingers and then the NHL Draft is gonna be here. But before that, we can kind of talk to players about their current junior career and how they've been doing this year. I'm really excited to be joined by a forward with the Flint Firebirds in the Ontario Hockey League. We're with Ty Dellandrea. Ty, welcome to Popternative.
Oh, thanks for having me.
No problem. Finally getting it done. We've been wanting to get you on for a while, but I guess you're too busy being letting it up in the OHL. But for people that don't know, when did you kind of decide that hockey was what you wanted to do? When was that? Maybe you wanted to do it as soon as you started skating, but was there a time at Pee Wee where you started to really get serious about it?
Yeah, I think I always loved it. It all started with my dad. He made a backyard rink for me, and ever since I'd spend hours night and day on that and have friends over, and that's how I kind of fell in love with the game to start. And but the moment I think I started to take it seriously and really take it to the next level was when I went up from my Adam A team in Port Perry to my AAA center in Central Ontario Wolves, and ever since I played for that team. So that was kind of the step that I took to the next level and just kept going from there. So
how would you characterize Ty Dellandrea on the ice and then Ty Dellandrea off the ice? Like, what are people getting with Ty Dellandrea on the ice and off the ice?
Yeah, I think on the ice you're getting a two-way forward, someone who likes to take care of his own end and can also generate lots of offensive opportunities. So I think someone that can be relied on in many situations. And off the ice, I think I'm a pretty easygoing guy that likes to enjoy time with family and friends and spending quality time and just loving life.
You're playing in the Ontario Hockey League, and this is a league where the players that I spoke to, Akil Thomas, Sean Dursey, the skill level is second to none in the OHL. You kind of see every team has some skilled guys. What has it been challenging, do you find, playing in the Ontario Hockey League? Do you think that, was it when you first started in the league and then you look at now, what have been some of the biggest changes and transitions you've had to make? Because it's a big and fast game.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of changes. Last year coming in as a first-year guy, you're just getting the glimpse of it, maybe playing, second-line center, third-line center, and you're kind of getting matching up against, their second or third D pairing, right? And then to change over this year, you kind of get the full swing of things where every night you're going up against their 1 and 2 D, kind of shut down guys and try to generate opportunities against those guys a lot different than your second and third D pair. So I found a big change even this year coming in. You feel more comfortable coming in as a second-year guy, but there's other things you got to deal with like that going up against top guys every night. And you talk about that skill, it's a lot of skill.
And it's one of those things too where you see a lot of the players that started playing in the CHL and now they're in the NHL. Not sure if you modeled your game per se after players, but were there some specific players that you were really fond of growing up while you were playing the game?
Yeah, I think I try to be my own player in that sense, but I think I'm a guy that likes to watch a lot of hockey and take bits and pieces from everybody's game to try to add it to my game. So a player I always loved to watch was Jonathan Toews. Ever since kind of his World Junior show he put on there, always started to follow him, and I like the way he competes at a high compete level and does the little things right and is a good leader in that kind of sense.
You're a player that will be in the public eye a lot, come the NHL Draft, the Combine before that. You've been able, I think you've kind of prepared for it a little bit this year with, media coming to, certain Flint games to speak to you or, the Top Prospects game. But how is that, like, this is your draft year, right? And we're almost there, regular season's wrapping up, playoffs, and then you kind of think of it more and more. How has that year been? Because it's going to be in the back of your head, but how was it kind of containing the whole draft talk and dialogue and just focusing on your year with Flint? Was it challenging?
I think at some points it could be challenging, especially when your team gets down and, we haven't had the greatest year. People can start to be negative in that sense. But I think you just got to channel it the right way. I think you can take it two ways. You can take it positively or negatively. And the way you channel that, and either use it as motivation or you can let it affect you in a not so good way. So I think I've done the best with it and trying to use it as motivation and stay positive. And it's been a busy year with draft stuff, but like I said, just using the pressure as a positive influence and keep going.
So the CHL Top Prospects game, you're on Team Cherry. I mean, that was a game where a lot of people are saying that your performance was one that stood out the most. I mean, you had a monster performance. Some people are saying, and that's one game, but it's an important game, and it's a game that we've seen has had leverage in the past with the draft and with the rankings and with the chatter, and it gives motivations. How did it feel the kind of week after that game? Did you feel a bit different? Do you think it helped your confidence? Was it like an all-time high for the season? Like, talk about the impact that game had on the rest of your year.
I think it had a big boost of confidence for me. I think it came at the perfect time where we were struggling as a team, and I was able to take it back to me and kind of turn things around and have a little bit of confidence to go back and do what I can to help our team win. So it came at the right time, and I just tried to take the confidence from that game and roll with it, and I think it went well.
It's pretty cool because, there are players that you get to know playing in the OHL, but, you have the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League and the Western Hockey League players as well in that game. Who was kind of the player that impressed you from kind of the OHL that you might have met or played against a lot before? And who is a player that impressed you from another league, from the Q or from the Dub, that you were like, wow, this guy's great? I haven't seen much of him, but this player was really good. Were there any that stood out?
Yeah, I think Evan Bouchard from the OHL. I have played against him a lot in the past, and he's a phenomenal player. But that game, he really kind of stole the show there, and I think he had 4 points in that game. And just the way he moves the puck and to kind of be on the receiving end of those passes, and the way he has the vision to see you when you don't think you can see him, right? So to be on that side of things versus the other side where he's playing against you is a really cool experience, and I think you get to see how much better he is when he's on your side. And from around, I probably Zadina, who was also on my team. He can shoot from anywhere and score from anywhere, and a couple opportunities you don't even think would be a high percentage opportunity for someone else. He was able to put those home, so he's got a scorer's touch, that's for sure.
You're seeing a lot of players in junior that are developing right away. Like, people say an NHL shot. People are saying an NHL stride. Like, people are saying, kids that are you guys are kids, 17, 18 years old, but you guys have NHL ready elements to your game. What do you think is the reasoning behind that? Has the preparation and the training in the off season has been drastically kind of boosted to an all high and taken to another level? What do you think about that?
I think part of it is even from I see in the past couple of years where I was growing up playing hockey, and how it's changed even in the past, say, 3 years, where, like you said, the training and the, amounts you're on the ice and playing has been increased that much more. And I think it's taken a lot more serious from a younger age. So I think some guys are starting to kind of start younger and get going with the things maybe guys were doing at an older age earlier. And that could be it. But I think, there seems to be a lot of gifted players coming up with, like you said, an NHL ready shot or an NHL ready stride.
Let's step away from the rink, the ice, for a little bit. Let's not talk about hockey. I want to know about what you like besides hockey. Now, I'm hoping I'm not going to get the country music and fishing answers like I always get. But what are some of your hobbies and interests outside of hockey, Ty?
Yeah, back home, and I'll do the training throughout the week and get that done with. And when the weekend comes, my family likes to go up to the cottage, so we spend a lot of the time at the cottage, whether it be water skiing, wakeboarding, or mountain biking. Those are some of the hobbies that I kind of grew up on, and my family has always done. So that's something that I like to get up to.
Absolutely. What I find interesting is, even with players in junior hockey, you guys have a job on the ice, but I find that what ends up happening is there's a responsibility that comes off the ice. And you see how popular junior hockey is in some markets, and after your home games, you're signing autographs, taking photos, like that's always going to happen. And it's just crazy because that's how big hockey is in our country, that at the junior level, you're treated like a celebrity in certain times. You know what I mean? I'm sure like you go to a restaurant in Flint and people will recognize you and some of your teammates. So how important is that to you to kind of have you have two jobs. You have the kind of job on the ice, but you also got to be a role model because people kind of know you and appreciate you around Flint. I mean, it's like a double. It's two jobs essentially. You're a hockey player, but you're a role model as well.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think kind of what I grew up on was you really never know who's watching you in that sense. So you kind of always got to know that you're a role model to younger kids or just people in the community. And so whether it be at school or at the rink, people watching you off the ice at the rink or at a restaurant, like you said, I think you got to have the right, kind of show off the ice and on the ice. So to be a kind of role model like that, you got to be careful and be smart because other people are watching you. And yeah, I think that it's good to be like that.
There's going to be a lot of amazing moments in your hockey career. Your hockey career has just begun, essentially. There's a lot more to come. But what have been some of the kind of key moments of Ty Dellandrea's career thus far that have stood out?
I think a huge one for me. I grew up in a smaller AAA center, playing for the Central Ontario Wolves, and didn't win a whole lot growing up. But to win the gold medal at the Holinka this past summer was kind of a huge boost of winning for me, and that was a experience I'll never forget. And those guys that I played with, I learned a lot from them, and they were great guys and great friends that I'll have forever.
Yeah, Akil Thomas and Gav Fortier, they've been on this show too, and they talked about the bonding in that room was amazing. Like everyone right away clicked, and it was just like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it was that we had a great group from top to bottom. It felt like we were all best friends in there, and I think it starts from just right when you get there to camp and you're competing against each other, having fun and fighting for a spot. And then once you get on the plane to fly over and you're sitting with guys you've never really met before, and from start to finish, it felt like we had a really strong group. And I think we lost one of those first games, but we were confident enough to just still stay with each other and we didn't panic. And yeah, I think the bonding really helped that tournament.
And, a lot of players in the Hockey Canada system for the Halinka U18, are looked at for like in training camps for the World Juniors, every year coming up, and that's a tournament with that has just become huge, and it just seems to get bigger and bigger every year, and it's one of those things where. Many players it becomes like it becomes a goal because it's not just like NHL, it's like playing on that team, you know what I mean, like playing in that tournament. And I'm sure like do you think people look at it that way, going to like Ivan Alinka and representing Canada is it's its own competition, but you want to make sure, like, you want to get comfortable in the Hockey Canada sweater for possible future events like the World Juniors.
Yeah, I think your end goal is to play for the World Juniors, and I think you starts from right U17, and you first get in that Hockey Canada system, and you work your way up, trying to make U18 and get smaller and smaller, and the end goal is to try to make the World Juniors because I think it's every little kid's dream to play for that team, right? So you want to be comfortable and just keep doing your best and try to be the best you can be every day to one day complete that dream.
The players like Kairu, Radish, Kachuk, Timmins, when, these are players you play against, when they came back from the World Juniors, did they have, like, did you notice, like, they had kind of, like, a swagger or, like, a confidence towards them, or was it kind of the same before?
I don't think they had the swagger. I think the players that were around them looking at them were more kind of shocked than they were having the swagger themselves. So you come back and you see those guys and play against those guys, and you just kind of take a step back and watch them how good they are in that sense.
Absolutely. We'll wrap up. But Ty, thank you so much for coming on the show. And it's fun to watch you. It's fun to watch all you guys grow. And we wish you all the best for the NHL draft. I mean, that's coming up right like that, right?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
No, for sure. Where can people follow you on social media? What are the handles?
Yeah, Instagram is Ty Dellandrea 53, and Twitter is just Ty Dellandrea.
Perfect. Well, this has been Popternative. You can catch previous episode Popternative on YouTube for the video versions, and if you just want to listen and you don't want to see my face, you could just follow us on subscribe on iTunes and on Spotify. You can listen to those episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. That's where we are. Until next time, this is Ty Dellandrea and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.